going on, guys? Hit pause here with a quick tutorial on how to get more accurate shots out of your weapons. There is an inherent problem with the first person template in the way that they go about spawning the projectile. What they're doing is they're getting an offset for the location, which this would basically put the projectile to start at the end of the gun, which is correct. But then the problem is that for the rotation, all they're doing is using your own control rotation, which is basically where your camera's looking. And they fire that out here. Now, what the problem is the way that this is going to work is if I have my character here, this is a top view, and he's holding his gun right here. Okay, that's his awesome gun. So what they're doing is they're saying, okay, my projectile is going to start right here. My character is looking this way, so that's where I'm going to fire my weapon. Okay? So the problem is that if you are looking directly at a target, okay, you would expect to hit him, but you are not, right? Depending on how big your character is and how big the target is. But if this was, you know, aim small, miss small, aim wide, you know, miss wide, you're going to basically miss him. So what we actually want to do instead is we want to take our character, we want to figure out what he's looking at, this guy's mad now because he's about to get shot. Actually, he's got no worries because he's not going to get hit. This guy's like, uh-oh. So here's our gun. What we want to do is we want to shoot the gun from here to here. Okay, that's the angle that we actually want to shoot the gun. Now this is obviously exaggerated. In reality, it's more like guns like right here, your bullets right here, you know, your target's right here, and it's kind of like barely, you know, any kind of an angle at all. So like I said, so this is more exaggerated. Now this does present the issue of having a item in the way, because you can actually in fact hit that, but that's sort of how it should be, right? If I was behind a corner and I'm right here, and let's just think about this in real world terms. This is me, right, with my nose, and I got my gun right here, and I want to shoot right here, you know? In reality, like if you hold a pistol out to the side at a gun range and fire it. So two things are going to happen. Number one, you're going to get arrested. Number two, you're going to break your wrist. Number three, you're going to completely miss. So three things happen there. So this method's flawed in that regard. A better method is actually what I showed in the drawing, and I'll show you guys how I set it up. So what we do is we're going to run a line trace when we actually pull the trigger here. Okay, assuming that we can fire the gun and stuff like that, we're going to run a line trace, and the trace is going to come from the camera. This is standard trace stuff here. Okay, you guys, you know, if you're experienced, you know this. If you're not, try to beat this one into your head, because this is as basically standard as it gets. Okay, we start the trace from the camera's location. We get the forward vector. You need to get the rotation to feed into forward vector. You multiply it by however far you want to look, add that to the camera's location, and make that your endpoint. That's a standard camera trace right there. Okay, we're going to break this hit result, because what we want to do is we want to get this impact point. Okay, I don't know really the difference between location of the hit in world space and location of the actual contact point of the trace shape with the surface of the hit object. I believe with a line trace this makes no difference. I believe with a sphere trace this is when this comes into play. But in this case I'm just using impact point because that's what I want to look at. And so we do immediately a look at rotation, okay? And the start point is actually going to be the tip of our gun. Now in the case of the other project sample, if you use this method, that would be this formula right here. Okay, this is how they're getting, this would be the start point right here. Okay, that's where they're saying the tip of their gun is. But I prefer to use sockets on my actual weapons, and I can show you that here I actually have a muzzle flash socket right there. So that's, you know, it's tip of the gun. I don't got to worry about math or anything like that. I can just find this guy's location and start it there anytime I want. Okay, so we do that. That's what I'm doing. So I want to look from there to the impact normal, and what I'm going to do is check if I hit something, because it makes a difference if you don't hit anything, meaning if you shot out into the sky. If you shot out into the sky and your trace doesn't return something, this is actually going to be null. You're going to be, it's probably going to pull 0, 0, 0. So when you do your find look at rotation, your gun is going to shoot towards, if you just shot up into the air, it's not going to shoot up into the air, it's going to shoot down to the world 0. Okay, so we make a double case here for that case. So if we don't hit anything, and this is a nice way to do that right here, just true if there was a hit, false otherwise. If we hit, we use the look at rotation. Now remember, the location should be the same to start the spawn, right? Because you got to make a transform whenever you spawn anything. So we feed the socket location or the offset location, wherever the tip of your gun is, we feed that to location no matter what. That's always going to stay the same. If we actually are tracing against an object, we use the look at rotation on that point to angle the projectile. Because remember, the projectile spawns, it has its own velocity and everything, so it's just going to start zinging off, and as soon as it's in the world, it shoots off in the X. Okay, so we use that rotation from the point of the gun. If we don't hit anything, we do what they do, and we use the control rotation so that it at least goes straight, at least goes the way you're looking, right? So when we play that, I have the trace drawing. Okay, now this spider is set to die only on a headshot. Right in the face. He's dead. Okay, now that's not entirely true. He's set to die instantly on a headshot. It takes a couple shots if you don't headshot him. But what was happening when I was using the original method and I was this close, if I aimed, it was working perfect because my gun is where I'm tracing. But if I was right here, I was actually shooting about right here and hitting the ground. I kept missing him. I had to shoot like right here to hit him in the face. But this way, well, that one, sometimes I think the trace doesn't actually hit the character, but it is in fact actually accurate. Whether or not it hits him is kind of just dependent on, I think, whether or not the collision is CCDing. So I hit him in the bum. I didn't even hit him that time. Hey, Fokker. Boom, right in the face. And like I said, didn't have to aim to get him in the face. So that's how you do it, and that's a much more accurate version. Now this works particularly well for third-person view shots, because in that case you might be over the shoulder and you still have a crosshair on the screen. You want your bullet to come from the guy's gun, but you want it to shoot where the where you're aiming, right? Now, depending on the angle of your camera, that can get real fruity real fast. If you're only say, hey, I'm just going to pull the projectile straight out from the end of his gun, that's going to vary drastically based on the animation that's being playing and all that stuff. So what you want to do is actually, you know, use this method to just, like I said, just align the bullet to go from wherever you're from the gun to wherever you're looking, wherever your crosshair hits, and you do that by your camera. And again, if you're in third person, you would just say, you know, I would have a special case here to spawn the third person weapon to say, okay, you know, do a switch on int or something. If I'm in first person or third person, I would swap this variable. And that would be the only thing different, would be this variable right here. Everything else, well, this one too, because you'd want it to come from the third person weapon, right? Assuming that you're using a different weapon for third person. My character happens to have a first person and a third person version of himself. Okay, one set to owner and one set to, to see owner and stuff like that. So like I said, so if it's going to come from here, you need to use the socket from the third person mesh. If it's going to come from here, you need to use the socket from the first person mesh, right? So hopefully you guys found that useful and interesting. If you do, you can always comment, like, and subscribe and all that fun stuff. Look out for R.A.T.S coming soon. I got things working pretty good at this point. It's not entirely ready to be formally announced, but it's getting there. It is in fact getting there. I mean, I got some simple AI. I got 2 weapons in. Okay. I still need to do some sounds and some reload fixes and stuff like that. But I got my views ready. I do have the ability to reload. All the animations are working on them. So I got sprint, aim, reload on this guy is set. I just haven't set the variable for the M16 actually reloads the right animation, but it doesn't play it on the weapon yet, so I just have to set that up. But it sprints, it aims, does all that stuff. Got all its sounds. I got single shot, variable, and auto fire on these guys. I have different types of bullets already. Let's see, do I have blueprints? So I've got all these variables here. I need to fire in some animations and stuff like that, but different mag counts, different rates of fire, different bullet types. Is using a 5.56, so it does more damage than other stuff. So the game's coming along really well. Hopefully I can get something going soon on Kickstarter, and if I definitely would appreciate you guys spreading the word for me. You don't necessarily have to be a backer, but if you can, I would highly appreciate it. If not, and I'm looking to hopefully give out some cool awards, rewards anyway. But if not, it would be nice if you guys could just help spread the word. Give me, some shares and things like that. Get the word out, because this is, I think, going to be a pretty fun game. And I do have a map already, so let me, at least the first map. Let's go ahead and save everything. It's taking a little moment. I should probably close it down. I don't need 2 editors open. So here is the boy's room. Got my spider in here too. He's being tested. He actually has different sizes and different color patterns, which is pretty simple stuff, but that's about all he's got. I am working on wall crawling AI right now. It's not ready to even show yet. He's pretty buggy. I got him working from 3 different directions, but not the 4th. So once I get that working, that'll be good. You can see I got the map recreated from our UDK version pretty much entirely. I'm missing about 3 major elements, and that's about it. The first being the spline actors for all of the power cords, which is pretty minor. I am missing all of the vehicle toys that were on this shelf, and I don't have the hangers placed, but I do have them. And that's it. I've even got new stuff in here that I never had in the old UDK version here. Crayons. So that's an update on R.A.T.S. This is fully dynamic. This is in fact using dynamic global illumination, which is pretty exciting. It doesn't work perfectly or anything yet, but right now the sunlight is the only light that's actually on. So as I turn it around, you can see the world totally change. Like I say, it's an experimental feature right now, but it'll be working pretty good, and the rendering on some of these items just looks really nice. Being in UE4, looks much better, much smoother and even in the lighting than it did in UDK. A lot of things are just way cleaner in here. Obviously we've got real-time reflections, like on this poster here. you can see I got all the reflections over there. I mean, even if I take this and move it, you know, we got the screen space reflections, which are obviously locked to screen space, so it's not going to reflect anything that's off my screen, but still a very awesome feature. It comes in pretty handy in things like metals and stuff like that. Get some cool views on all of these things. You can see that particularly well right here. Yeah, we got the whole, you can see the reflection of the metal and the wall there, you know. You can see it underneath here too. You can even see the carpet right there. Again, if I put the carpet off my screen, you can see how it dulls out. That's, like I said, it's screen space reflection, so it's only going to reflect what's on the screen. Thanks to my buddy for helping me realize that. I was like, dude, what's wrong with these reflections? How come they keep disappearing? They're not actually disappearing. So all the rendering is just much nicer in here. I mean, just overall, some of these things like this gold right here, I'm not even using any textures. I'm just using a couple of values, and that just looks really nice to me anyway. I mean, I like it. I don't know, you guys don't have to like it, but I think it looks great. Looks really nice. Oh, obviously I don't want to overdo the blooms and things like that, so I got all that stuff pretty toned down. Lens flares and all that kind of stuff's toned down pretty far, because I know a lot of people get irritated with that kind of stuff. So, but like these plastics and rubbers, and like this tennis ball looks really nice. Soccer ball looks nice and smooth. There's no weird lighting. It's picking up shadows clean, you know. Fully dynamic lighting. In fact, so, like I said, so fully dynamic that this is literally the only light that's on in the whole thing. Now this light is actually, I think, on, but it's not contributing much. I have blueprints here to turn this on and off. You can actually run up to these things. You can see I've got text for turning off and on, and I can just set them to default to either be on or off. And they got ambient lights attached to them. Some of these plastics look really nice. This like aluminum bat just looks great. Look at all those, so many nice tones in there, you know. It's just looks really wonderful. So yeah, it's like I said, for the most, I get a couple of weird things. Like this is a little darker when I look at it from the front. I'm not sure if that's the smoothing group looks flat, so I think maybe the smoothing group on this isn't flat. It's actually the same material. From certain angles they look exactly the same, but other angles it looks a little weird, and I admit that. So I'm not sure what's going on there. And we've got the teddy bear in here. What's up, guy? And some trophies up in here. All of this stuff will be able to be fully dynamic, like interactive. All of these drawers will be opening and closing during gameplay. You'll be able to, I'm debating whether or not I want you to have to actually come up and say like stand on this and then hit the button, or whether or not you can shoot it and open it. This light switch will actually control the lights and the fan up here, but I haven't put that in yet because the reason the switch is missing is because the tie-in is going to be one blueprint for those two. Again, I don't have the hallway or the rest of the world out yet, because the aim and the goal here is to make a demo, not a full-on prototype. I guess it'd be a prototype demo, but a very early alpha to show what UE4 can offer. I mean, just look at this bounce lighting that's going on right here, you know? It just looks so nice just inside of here. And like I said, I got no skylights going on. I don't have to worry about anything. I just keep it like this. There's a few issues with the light propagation volumes. You see some bleeding up here that goes away as I get closer. Things like that, I'm sure, you know, I'm hoping eventually get addressed by the engine developers. But some of these, you know, these like metals and things, they just look really, really good. Even metals on here. I am using all of the same textures and things like that. I mean, you look at this metal right here, it just looks great. Like I said, I mean, just, you know, drawing this in Photoshop wouldn't take you that short of a time, and it wouldn't take forever, but I mean, look at it's reflecting right here on this plastic, you know. It's the bulb and everything and the gold on here. I really love the rendering. I mean, look at that, it's just totally reflecting that surface right there. So clean. So clean. Very, very nice in my opinion. Like I said, whether or not you agree with that is opinion, obviously. But I think it looks great. I think this engine just has a wonderful render. I mean, I'm in here, you know, if I just had a normal light, everything would be black except for that spot right there. Like if I shut off, actually I'm not sure if this light's actually completely off. Yeah, that light's completely off. So if I shut off the dynamic indirect lighting, see, it actually takes a while to kick in too, which is kind of nice. But this is all the lighting I got. Now I do have this guy on right now, but I can turn him off. And that's it. That's all you would see normally. But as soon as I turn, where's the light here? As soon as I turn this beast on, just wonderful. Just a wonderful effect. Overall, very well done. But like I said, if they can fix this right here, and the fact that sometimes when it's back facing, it will light up the wall here. If it could fix that, then it would be totally golden. But I mean, this sunlight just looks wonderful, and the shadows on the character and everything work really well. He's trying to get up here. I got some rudimentary jump behavior going on. He's very very rudimentary right now, but he'll work out. He'll work out pretty good in the end. But as you can see, I can come in and out of the shadow on my weapon, out of the sunlight. Yeah, this lights up. I'm using the old UDK texture for this M16. This 92FS is in fact actually a PBR material. This was done in Substance. This I just took my spec gloss and fiddled with it until it looked semi-metal. This is going to get repainted for this M16. That's why a lot of this looks pretty dumpy. Doesn't really look very realistic or metal. That's going to get fixed. That's just I got to focus on the right things at the right time, you know. I also, this is new for the game. I actually have a encroached, so I can't aim or shoot. And if I swap weapons, can't aim. I gotta make sure the sound doesn't play. But so like if I'm right here and then I go like this, it puts the gun up, you know. And I don't have to, it'll re-aim if I'm not holding it. I also have dynamic, it's overly strong right now, but it's not going to be. But it does have the dynamic focus, so wherever you're aiming, like I said, it's overly strong, so I could tune the code, and then I'll tune the actual effect. I want it to be very subtle, almost not blurry in the background, but you can see that it blurs out there. I kept near blur off for now. I'm not sure if I'll keep that or not. I might keep that on, but I can aim at things that are close and then things that are far. I gotta figure, you know, fiddle with the fall offs and stuff like that. That's all nothing really, but the effect is there, which is very cool. I detailed that in another video. I think I put that video up, maybe not. And like I said, sprint's working. I got sounds for most everything. So you can see my traces are going right now. There's bullet drops still, just like the old UDK version, so you still have to lead your targets. Okay, you can see it drop right there. Okay, nice curve there. I do have recoil. Okay, that you can, and the recoil is great because you can combat it by pulling your mouse down, and then when you're done, it doesn't shoot your view all the way down. I think I detailed that in another video too. I do have crouch, so you can get under stuff. Okay, it's all working. I do have the 3-player stuff working as well, but you are not going to be able to swap your character. You can see that the movement is clean even when I aim. It's a little snappy, but I think that's okay as long as he's moving in the right direction. Okay. Speeds are off a little bit. You can see he's got a lot of slide going on, but I'm not worried about that. Does the reloads and everything. So that's all working. I don't have a way to switch the camera back. This was just so I could test network features. Okay, jump works. So if he jumps, he goes into this, and then he lands. It's cleaner than we had it in UDK so far, I feel like. So once it's all replicated and everything, I don't have everything replicated. I have a lot of stuff working online right now, but not everything is set. He has aim offset up and down, which is a custom method of doing it, my own style, just controlling bone rotations through code. He doesn't have an aim yet for jumping. It's not blending correctly. I don't have fall damage yet, but I will. I am going to re-enable the physics on his tail, because that was always a fun thing in UDK. That's easy. So that his tail is going to flop around into physics. You can actually get some cool... actually can roll this, which I could never do in UDK. That's new. It's stuck now, but he sticks pretty well to stuff. You know, he is a rat, so you can't run up that steep a surface anymore. And we had that in the UDK version because we were having problems with it glitching right here. He would go brrr, and he would vibrate right here, and the camera would just be going brrr, and he would be bouncing. It would be making the sound of landing over and over again. So it would be like, you know, it would just be crunching right here, and it was a nightmare. And we tried everything to fix it. I mean, we did our best, pretty much. I mean, I say best effort was put forth on everybody's part, but in UE4 it just doesn't do that anymore. So it's just a real handy thing. It also freaked out whenever you came into an acute angle surface like this and you tried to move. It really wigged. Doesn't do that anymore. Okay, it could wig here too, but it doesn't do that anymore. So now we can crouch underneath. I don't have all of the crouch animations in quite yet properly, but they'll go in for sure. So yeah, everything's coming together pretty well, pretty nicely. It's overall a better product than it was in the other UDK, and I think it's going to be a great game, especially being able to do stuff like this. You can use this to cross the lava, you know. So that's like a really fun thing to be able to do. And I'm totally basing on it clean, you know. I don't have a foot IK or anything like that. I never really planned on doing that. You can actually kind of steer it. It's like a whole game mode in its own right, you know. This will be my next game jam. It's going to be this. Just running on a ball. Having a ball on a ball. So yeah, hopefully, like I said, hopefully you guys, you know, help me with the support. And like I said, just mainly spreading the word. I need help, obviously. I am in, I don't want to say totally dire straits or anything like that, but I am in need of funding to get this project going. Otherwise, I'm going to have to dramatically change everything. The camera does collide with stuff, so this I'm probably going to make it so that if it does this, it would go into first person. But again, you're not going to actually be able to go into third person mode in the game. You're just a first person shooter. The third person guy is there for everybody else to see. So that's it. That's R.A.T.S, and that was a little tutorial for the beginning on how to get the weapons shooting good, and hopefully you guys found that useful, and hopefully you guys helped me with the game support, and I will see you guys in the next video. Zip signing off. Thanks.